Hi, I'm Faith Pinot from LA Times Studios in Washington, D.C. Here's some of today's top stories from the Los Angeles Times. The House voted overwhelmingly to pass a bill Tuesday ordering the Justice Department to publicly release all documents on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. According to Ana Ceballos, the push comes after a major shift from President Trump, who now says he will sign the measure if it reaches his desk. For months, Republicans fought the release of the Epstein files, echoing Trump's claim that Democrats were using the issue to distract from GOP wins. That all changed Sunday when President Trump abruptly reversed course and urged Republicans to vote yes, insisting that he had nothing to hide. On Truth Social, he called the Epstein probe a Democrat hoax pushed by what he described as radical left lunatics. That reversal followed a massive document dump. More than 20,000 files from Epstein's private estate were released last week by the House Oversight Committee. Those documents referenced Trump more than 1,000 times, adding new pressure on Congress to act. The bill now heads to the Senate, where GOP leaders must quickly decide if they'll send it to the president's desk. And the United Nations signed off on the Trump administration's plan to stabilize and govern Gaza Monday, greenlighting the U.S.'s plan to move the devastated territory toward peace after 2 years of war. The approval was overwhelming, a 13-0 decision, with only Russia and China abstaining. After the vote, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu applauded the UN's approval, but Hamas blasted the plan, arguing that it destroys any claim of neutrality and fails to meet the needs of Palestinians. According to the Associated Press, the resolution authorizes an international stabilization force to secure Gaza and sets up a transitional authority that will be overseen by President Trump. It also outlines a possible path to an independent Palestinian state. Trump called the vote one of the biggest approvals in UN history and said it will lead to more peace around the world. The plan backs Trump's 20-point ceasefire deal and builds on the fragile truce that the U.S. helped broker between Israel and Hamas. The stabilization force would control borders, provide security, and demilitarize the territory. A separate board of peace, which Trump would also lead, would guide Gaza through reconstruction, both of which are set to expire at the end of 2027. The approval came after 2 weeks of negotiations, after Arab nations and Palestinians pushed the U.S. to strengthen the resolution's wording on Palestinian self-determination. The final version still doesn't provide guarantees or a set timeline. Instead, it says that conversations about a Palestinian state could only happen after Gaza is rebuilt. But Netanyahu made clear again Sunday that he opposes a Palestinian state, and his hardline allies remain concerned with the resolution mentioning any pathway toward independence. And President Trump welcomed Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the White House Tuesday. According to reporters, it's the prince's first visit since the 2018 killing of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, a murder U.S. intelligence said was likely ordered by Prince Mohammed himself. Now, 7 years later, Trump is brushing aside that history, tightening his relationship with the 40-year-old heir. Khashoggi's killing will barely register in Tuesday's agenda. The two leaders are set to announce billions of dollars in deals and meet with aides on the future of the volatile Middle East. And Trump is even going further on defense ties, approving the sale of F-35 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia. That move raised concerns inside his own administration. It risks potentially exposing advanced U.S. technology to China and could upset military edge in Israel. But Trump is pushing the sale as part of a broader strategy. He wants the Saudis to join the Abraham Accords and normalize relations with Israel, something he argues could reshape the region. Saudi leaders say they won't consider that until there's a real path toward Palestinian statehood, something Israel, as mentioned, strongly opposes. The two leaders will also discuss the Gaza ceasefire, Iran, and the war in Sudan. And Saudi Arabia is expected to unveil major new investments in U.S. artificial intelligence and nuclear energy partnerships. And for the first time, O.J. Simpson estate has accepted a multi-million-dollar claim owed to the family of Ron Goldman. According to Richard Winton and Hannah Fry, the claim stems from the 1997 wrongful death judgment. The Goldmans had collected only a fraction of the original $33 million settlement, which over almost 30 years has grown to nearly $58 million with interest. Goldman was murdered in 1994 alongside Nicole Brown Simpson. A criminal jury acquitted O.J. Simpson of the killings in what became one of the most watched trials in American history. But a civil jury later found him liable. Simpson died last April, leaving behind an estate valued at just under $600,000, meaning it's still unclear how much the Goldmans will actually receive once Simpson's debts and estate expenses are paid. His executor approved the Goldman claim in a filing made Friday in Nevada. Attorneys for the family say the acknowledgement is significant on its own. Simpson spent years insisting he didn't have the money to pay, despite decades of court fights, forensic accounting, and the Goldman family's attempt to seize his assets. Simpson's estate includes auctioned items like his golf clubs, a replica Heisman Trophy, and a luxury SUV, even his driver's license. But experts say creditors get paid in strict order, and there's no guarantee enough money will be left for the Goldmans. Still, for the family, this is a symbolic moment. They say their fight was never about money, but accountability. And after 31 years, they're still waiting to see how much justice this final chapter will bring. And a familiar name is back in the Dodgers rumor mill, and it already has LA fans buzzing. Cody Bellinger, the former Rookie of the Year, former MVP, former fan favorite, and just maybe a future Dodger again. According to Jack Harris, ESPN first reported that Bellinger was on the team's radar this offseason, especially as they look to add another outfielder for 2026. Now listen, he's not the top free agent on the market, but he is one of the most interesting. Someone like Kyle Tucker is expected to spark a $400 million bidding war. Bellinger, on the other hand, much more affordable and way more flexible. He can play all three outfield spots and even shift to first base down the road. And the Dodgers, they like that, especially as they try to avoid another huge long-term contract. And here's the thing, Bellinger isn't the same guy the Dodgers let walk in 2022. Since then, he's rebuilt himself with the Cubs and Yankees. He hit .281 over the last 3 seasons, cut his strikeouts almost in half, and hit 29 home runs last year alone. So the question now is, could a reunion actually happen? The Dodgers already have Teoscar Hernandez and Andy Pages locked in, plus a loaded set of prospects coming up the ranks. But they still want another lefty at bat, and Bellinger fits the bill if the price stays reasonable. The Yankees want him back, other teams will jump in, no doubt, and the Dodgers might still lean toward a trade instead of a big free agent splash. But for the first time in years, the door is open. Cody Bellinger and the Dodgers, round 2. Stay tuned. That's it for now. To read these stories and more, be sure to subscribe to the LA Times.